on this session right now. So you will get a copy of this recorded session as soon as it renders, which will be sometime this morning. Usually it takes about an hour for that to get finished rendering and get emailed out. I will also be posting it on the Facebook and the YouTube channel so that you all have access to this recording afterwards. Today, what we are going to be talking about is what seller tools you have within IQ Office and how you can really promote yourself and help keep your listings on track as you go through things. So I'm glad that you've joined us this morning. This will take about 40 minutes. I encourage you all to ask questions. So if you have questions as we go along, please know that someone else on the call probably also has a question. And feel free to put those in the chat box or in that question tab on the left-hand side. Before we begin, if I can have y'all just drop a chat in that chat box so that I know that you know where it is. And if you could let me know that you can indeed see my screen, that would be very helpful as we begin today's session. Awesome. So Terry can see it. Eloise, Tanya said she can see it. Kevin, Candace, how are y'all doing? Susan can see it. Rich can see it. Awesome. So as we begin, you all know what your IQ Office looks like. And really the goal of this software is that you have a complete CRM from the start of a conversation with someone about their property or their real estate journey. And you can really track them all the way through to the end. So where we're going to start today is actually with going in and marking a contact as a seller and how to attach that person to a listing. And then what does it mean to have a seller contact versus a buyer contact? So we're actually going to look at myself that I have entered in here. And as you look at this home screen, you can actually see in here that you can add them as a contact type. You can actually go in and there is a section at the very bottom that says transaction date. So you can actually put in the last transaction date that you had with a client. That will come into play when we start to talk about drip marketing campaigns to follow up with sellers and things like that. And then underneath miscellaneous, you have a section where you can actually tag them as a seller or as a buyer. So know that you can tag them right here on that main contact screen as a seller. And what does that mean? So that means that when you're going in and they're actually going into their portal, so when they go to your website and they log into their portal, because everybody loves to looky-loo at the MLS, they can actually see their property on their seller portal. So it will automatically pull up with their property here. They'll be able to see all of the showing activities if you're using your IQ Office for your showings, how people are getting to their site, how people are finding that website activity, as well as their competition report. So below this is competition report. So just know that that is the difference in the seller and the buyer portal, is how does it appear on their dashboard when they look. They can actually go in, they can add a property story to their listing. They can also go in and if your office is using transactions, they can see information about their transactions within the system. If you actually go into the listings tab, this is where you can actually see what listings are assigned to that person. So I can actually click plus new in the upper right-hand corner, and then I can scroll through my listings and I can actually say, here's the listing that belongs to this seller. So I can attach it right from within that client. I also can say, hey, yes, send the welcome email, or don't send the welcome email. So I can attach their listing from right within that customer dashboard page. Once you've attached that property, there's a few things that you can do. One, if you attach the wrong property, you can remove it. The other things that you can do are actually going to be underneath that listings tab. And I want to spend some time underneath there because the whole point of sellers is that you're managing their listing well and you're managing your personal contact with them well. So just as we start off right out of the gate, does anyone have any questions about how to tag someone as a buyer or a seller, or add a transaction date, or add that listing information? If you don't type yes in the chat box, I don't know if that made sense or not. So I'm assuming that you are all nodding your head because you're not saying, wait, 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 do that again. What we did is we went and we opened up, oh, sure. So we opened up our favorites. You can do it from your contact dashboard as well. You scroll down underneath miscellaneous, you can actually tag them as a buyer or a seller. You can enter that transaction date here. You can also enter their transaction address. And underneath this listings tab at the very top, you can actually click the plus new button and add them to the listing. Good to go, Tanya? I hit new, and then I click. You might not have any listings. So if you don't have a plus new button, it's because you don't have any active listings right now. You have to have listings. Then that's a bug, and we'll have to work it out. I'll give you a jingle here after the call. So the other way that you can do it is you can actually go into your listings tab. You can access your listings tab here on the left-hand side of the screen. You can also click on this main dashboard here and click on the listings. So when you do that, it's going to open up all of your listings. And we're actually going to go in and we're going to edit a listing so that you can see another way that you can access this. So if I go into this Kimberly Lane listing, I can actually see underneath the contact information, there's a slot here for seller as well. So if you've added the seller on the customer contact dashboard, it will show them here. If you haven't, you can actually just start typing their name here and you can attach them right from within the listing. Once you do that, don't forget to click save, because if you don't click save, then it's not going to actually attach that seller through when you go to the next page. Now, what are the benefits besides the seller portal of attaching a seller to a listing? And there are a few things. The first thing that I want to talk about is actually this reports tab. So you have access to something called reports. And this is where you can actually set the competition. So I can actually go in and I can say, okay, well, the competition for this listing, let me just look at the price really quick, is $533. So the competition for this listing is going to be between $500 and $550. And we're going to have a square foot minimum of 2,500. And then below that, I can actually say, okay, I need to choose the communities. This is pulling from your MLS and how your MLS labels communities. So you could actually say, hey, we need to be in the golf course TRC subdivision. We also need to be in Orchard Cove, and we need to be in Sunset Heights. Those are the three neighborhoods that really compare with that. You could actually go in and click and choose by zip code, and then you would select by zip code. You can also choose by map, which gives you the ability to actually scroll in. I gotta scroll out here so I can scroll in. This is a demo account, and you can say, okay, I need to be in this area. This is going to automatically bring up your area of your MLS. You can scroll in and work on just a street. Again, you can do a community name, you can do a zip code, or you could do a building name. So if there's a specific building it needed to be by, you could actually do it that way as well. On the right-hand side of this, you can actually say what you want the report to include. So do you want it to show the listing details? Do you want it to show the web activity? Do you want it to include the competition report or the referral report? A referral report is how visitors arrived at the listing. So what that looks like in your seller portal, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, is this website activity. So how did people find it? And that is really important. So did they find it on your company site? Did they go directly to the listing page? Did they click? Is it a click through from your page? How are people getting to the listing? So that is awesome. So I'm going to say, hey, I actually want all of this included. I don't want the showing report, and I want this to send every week. I also would like to preview this report. So I'm going to click view in the upper right-hand corner. When I do that, I can actually see the preview of this report live as it is today. Okay, how many referrals has it had in the last 4 weeks? How many referrals has it had for all time? What's the web activity look like? Has it appeared in search results? What's actually happening with that listing? What's really cool about this is as you're sitting and you're talking to a potential seller, so you've got the appointment and your company is providing a lot of great tools and you've got a great marketing plan and advertising budget that you're going to go out to. And I've got Susan as my seller. Margaret, I'm going to come back to you just so you know I saw your question. So I'm going to say, okay, Susan's my seller. Hey, Susan, I'm super excited to be here and talk about your listing. And I just really want to differentiate a few things that are different about me than the other real estate agents in the area because, you know, we all have access to the same MLS. And so realistically, the price that we come up with for your house, as far as what it is worth in this market that's super competitive, is going to be pretty similar. But what I really want to do is I want to talk about a few things that are going to happen after the sale or after we list your house and through the process of marketing your home. The first thing I want to talk about is I'm going to send you a report and I want to know, do you want to receive that report every week, every other week, once a month? What works best for you? Then Susan's going to say, you know, I'd really like to receive it once a week. You say, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a report once a week. It's going to show all the listing of your homes. It's going to show all the web activity. It's going to show you all the competition and what those competitive listings are. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up with a seller portal. So if you want to access that information live at any time, you absolutely can do that. I just want you to know I'm staying in touch with you and having you have access to the information about what's happening online with your listing is really important to me. And that's just going to automatically happen for you so that you're always in the loop. How many of you are talking to your sellers about that right now? So Tanya's talking to her sellers about that. Lisa doesn't have any listings yet. Awesome, Lisa. So you can start practicing that for your clients. As we go through too, Margaret asked a really good question. If they're a seller, what's the transaction date? The transaction date, Margaret, would be the date that listing closed. And we're going to come to why that's important. Awesome. So some people don't have listings right now. Some people are using it. Some people are going to use it. Sometimes just knowing what the tool is and that you have access to this for it to automatically send on behalf of you to your seller, that puts you a step above. Plus, you do not have to generate the information. The website, IQ Office, is actually going to generate this for you. When it's pulling up the competition report, it's actually going to go ahead and pull it from MLS. So it's pulling all this information from the MLS for you. So the next thing that I do want to talk about is this actions tab. So how many of you have a list for when you have listings of all of the things that you need to do for a listing? Hey, I need to make sure the sign goes up. Hey, I need to make sure that I get photos taken. Hey, this is what I need to do in this section. So we've got one person that says, so Tanya says she doesn't have a checklist. Do you have a mental list, Tanya? Rich says no. Karen says yes. Yep, some people do. Is it digital for all of you or is it a piece of paper? Paper. Awesome. So you actually have the ability within your IQ Office to go into that actions tab, and I got to pull up, hang tight with me here because I've got to I'm getting a blank screen on my demo account, but I know they're working on a couple things for me in there, so I just want to pull this up real quick and show you. So you actually have a section here that is called actions. So you can actually go in And you can create your own action plan for every single listing. So you can take that paper list and you can convert it into a digital list so that it automatically attaches to every new listing that comes in. You also can go in and you can actually click plus new and you can add your own actions and your own due dates to your listings. You also can choose if they're visible to the seller or not within this seller portal so that your seller can actually see everything that you're doing for the listing here. All you have to do is you would type in, and maybe this is a home inspection follow up. You'd say, hey, I need it to be due on the 28th. We need to talk about the roof. We need to talk about French drains. And we need to talk about the mold inspection. I want to assign it to me, the listing agent, or if you have a co-list, you could assign it to your co-listing agent. And then once you're done, you would just go ahead and click save on that. And it's going to add that action to this action plan box. Now, if you have a list of something that you're doing for every single listing, you can actually go into your tools and preferences and go to my action plans, and you can actually build a new listing action plan. Just make sure you choose the action plan type listings, and then you click save. As you add items to this listing plan, you can actually go in, you can have automatic system emails, you can have follow-ups, you can have adding to campaigns. You can actually set up to make sure the seller reports get set after 2 days on the market. And you can say, set up seller report. I want this to be visible to the seller. Yes, it's required. I want notification. I can have a follow-up that is a sign up order. I want that to be due immediately. I don't want it to repeat. I do want it to be visible to the seller. So you can actually start to build your entire plan here. If you have 5 things that are due the first day, you can have multiple things on one due after date. If it's an automatic email, you need to make sure you've created the content. I'm going to go in. I'm going to say, hey, this is my personal content, and I'm going to add that in there. I want to send it to the seller. So you could actually have an email that went out as soon as that listing was live that said, hey, congratulations, Susan, your listing is live. I will be ordering your sign up today, and I look forward to working with you through the process of selling your home. Super slick? Yes or no? Like it? Hate it? Awesome. So the best part about this is after you've created your plan, so you've gone into your tools, you've gone into my action plans, you've clicked new, you can actually go up to your name and go down to profile. And underneath your preferences, there is a section that is called default action plans. So you can actually go in, and for all of your just listed new listings, you can click the magnifying glass and you can go in and you can say, okay, here's that new listings 2019. I'm going to select that plan. Now for any new listings that you take, this action plan is automatically assigned to it. So you don't have to go in and start to guess about what plan, like, okay, I got a new listing. Now I have to go in and I need to add an action plan. And what about this and what about this? You can actually go in. If it's a new listing, it would automatically be assigned underneath this screen, and you would automatically have that happen. It would be all listed here. So you can actually really start to work your plan and not worry about what's happening. The other thing that will happen is on your main to-do list, all of your action items for that listing will automatically appear. So when you're logging into your IQ office every morning to see which clients you need to follow up with, it's also going to have your listing items. Did you order your sign up? Did you share it on social media? Did you order your postcards? Everybody is also right now getting an automatic email when their listing is live. It looks similar to this. And it says, hey, congratulations. People chose to list with you. Let's talk about what that actually means. You can see all the websites here. You can get your property flyer here. You can download it or customize it. You can also automatically order your postcards. To set those defaults for what your postcard actually is, you go back to your profile. And again, underneath preferences, there's a section that says default property flyer. And you can go in and you can choose your default property flyer. What is SLW? Great question. So let's talk about some of those websites that are available for you. So when you get a listing, IQ Office is automatically adding websites for you. So they are adding a single listing website. It's not showing on here. It shows on that flyer. Here, let me just show you what it looks like here on the flyer quick. So when it says SLW on this flyer, it's a single listing website. You have a showcase page and you have a details page. What that means is it's a website that is only for that website and or for that listing, and it is branded up here in the actual menu bar. It has the address for that listing. So if I go here, let's see, single listing website. So here, this is what it looks like. It's just a different layout. So here it is. It's got area information. It's got a place to contact versus this website that is more of a let's scroll through. Or there's also a showcase website that looks really similar, but the web address is different than this. So these are branded with the address. Does that answer your question, Lisa? Awesome. So that's a great segue. So I do want to make sure you all know you can easily go in here and you can share it to your social media right from this main dashboard. You can share it to your Pinterest. You can you'll soon be able to share it to your LinkedIn. You can see the website. But if I click on Facebook, it's actually going to just open up my Facebook. It's going to put the information in here. If I want to share it to my business page, I can share it to my business page. I can type something about this listing here, and I can actually just quick right from this, share it from this action. Our goal is to make this as easy as possible for you. So if you're going in and you have to-dos, you can actually mark these listings to do as done here. You can go to your main company. So I can actually go here and I can say, hey, I need to share this on my social page. It's going to ask you to share it right from here. Okay, I'm going to share it on my Facebook page. And I can mark it as complete. It's going to ask me to post it on Facebook. Really, we try hard to make sure that it is easy for you to go in and actually manage your business. Other questions so far? I'm glad that you have questions. It makes it a lot easier to chat here for a while. Margaret, Kevin, Angela, any questions from you all? Okay. Yeah, so that's a really good question. So Lisa said, when you share it to your business, can you also share it to your personal? So within your Facebook, if I go here and I share this listing, so you can share it either way from here. I can go in and I can say, hey, share this to my, right now I'm sharing on my personal page. I can also say, hey, share it on my business page and click post. I'm not going to post this because this is actually not a live listing, but you can, if you're on your Facebook business page, and you need to share something from your business page, you just open up your business page here. And you can say, hey, I need to share this. You need to choose as yourself, though. I'm going to share it. And then the same thing. I'm sharing it on my timeline. I'm sharing it to my story. I'm sharing it in a group. You just have the option here to change that. So Margaret asked a question about what is the transaction date and how does that work? So Margaret, you could put in the date of the listing start as that. What makes more sense is when you're putting in that contact transaction date down here and you're saying, okay, the transaction date, the date that closed was on the 28th. What's really cool is you also have the option if you're doing an e-marketing campaign. So technically you have, like say you have a past seller campaign. We're actually just going to create that really quick. So we're going to say past seller. I'm going to go in, I'm going to actually choose from the realistic templates. And then there's a card called the home anniversary card. So you could actually say, home is where the heart is. And you could actually say, hey, Susan, happy 1 year moving day. I can go in and then I can actually go and I can say, hey, I want to send this on a transaction date. And I want to send it 1 year after this goes. I want to send it after 9 o'clock in the morning. And the title is 1 year move day. I've got it in here. I can edit all the text here that highlights. So I could actually say, can you believe it has been a year? And I click next. I click finish. Now I've got my new past seller campaign. It's got one event, 1 year move day. The subject is, hey, Susan, happy moving day. I can change that title. Happy moving day, 1 year, and save. I can then go in and I can actually add additional events. What's really interesting is when you start to look at the National Association of Realtors statistics, people move right now. It's actually really a long cycle that we're in. People are moving about every 8 to 10 years. Typically, it's about every 6 years people are moving. But you can actually go in and you can set this up so that you were actually sending on every year they were getting an anniversary card from you. And you could, all you had to do was add them to the campaign. The other thing that's really cool is you can actually go into your action plans. And if I say, hey, I have a action plan and I'm going to call this my past sellers, because I'm going to have an action plan that I applied to the listing that are actually the checklist things that I do for a listing. Order postcards, sit open houses, share on social media, order my sign up, have professional photos taken. But I can also have an action plan that applies to my seller. Call to check in. How's it going? Have you had your carpets cleaned? Make sure that you have these physical touches with the seller. As far as voice and text, I can also go in though and have a past seller action plan. And I can actually have it automatically add them to an email campaign. So that once I set this up, I can actually go in and I can say, okay, past sellers, save. Now all of my sellers, I could actually just add to that campaign. And now when I think about that campaign, I know that they're getting an email every single year for the first 5 years wishing them a happy anniversary. To add a campaign to a person, you actually can just go in to their contact information and you can add them here underneath campaigns. Again, I was just right here. I opened up the contact. I scrolled about halfway down and I can add them to this campaign here. I also, if I add a contact type to a campaign. So what that means is I'm in my campaigns and I'm in my past sellers and I add recipients and I add a contact type of seller. What will happen is every time I add a contact to that contact type. So if I open this Kelsey up and I scroll down and I add her to a seller and I click save, the system is going to ask me, oh, and I'm going to demo. Let me do it on my actual site so you could see it. The system is going to ask me if I want to add that person to a certain drip campaign. So I could actually go in, I could say, hey, I need to click on Heather. I need to add her to this, and it's going to ask me, she doesn't have an email in, that's why, do you want to add this person to this drip campaign? I'm going to say yes. And it's going to automatically add her. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to add her to a seller. I'm going to click save. Do you want to add her to these 2 campaigns because they are what you have that contact type as? And I click save. Any questions on that? That's a lot of information in 32 minutes. I want to just do a quick review. We opened up a contact. We talked about taking them as a seller and adding transaction dates. We also talked about attaching the listing to the seller so that they could actually go in to their personal portal and see information about their home and their listings. We also talked about going into the listing and how to set up your seller reports underneath that reports tab on this main screen. We also talked about going in and adding your seller on this screen and what a details, a showcase, and a single listing website was and how to easily share it for social media right from the listings dashboard. We also talked about going in and creating a marketing campaign directed at past sellers by creating a new campaign and adding events based on a transaction date so that they could actually receive a home anniversary card using that transaction date within their portal for the first 5 years after they've purchased. We talked about going in and using the tools and my action plans to create a new listing action plan, as well as a potential seller action plan so that things were automatically happening. The last thing we talked about was going up into your profile, over to your preferences, making sure you had a default property flyer for that automatic listing flyer that's going to go out to you, and attaching your default action plans so that when you get a new listing, your action plan for what needs to be done automatically attaches. That's a ton of information. So for those of you on the line that have taken these before, and I see a lot of familiar names, which is exciting, the next part of this is to get out your calendars and think about what day you're going to actually go in and start to work on your seller tools. It may be something as easy as adding your past clients in and their past transaction dates so that they start to get emails from you congratulating them on the anniversary of their home. It might be that you're going in and you are creating your listing action plan so that when you get listings, you have a plan that you can work. because the power of this is going to a listing appointment saying, I want you to know I have this checklist. And what happens is once your listing is live, my software that I use to manage your listing actually automatically attaches this plan and starts the process. You're going to automatically get an email once your listing is live. I automatically get an email once your listing is live so that I can start the marketing process and you know how and that you can get into your portal. So there's just a lot that you can do. And I know if you don't have listings right now, it may seem daunting and you may think, oh, I'll go in and I'll do that once I actually have a listing. And I would really discourage you from that. I would do that now so that you're set up for success and it's easier once you have the listing and you're not scrambling to get it together. Once you have that list and you can actually checklist it out, ordering your sign, ordering your photos, ordering your postcards, setting up your open houses, attaching your virtual tours, all of those things really add up to time that you could spend doing something else. So set yourself up for success today. So Lisa's going in today. Once you have your calendar out, if you can go ahead, I would love if you would share what day and time you're going to actually go in and start working on this information. I love it. Lisa and Rich, I want you to know that I love the answer today. Karen's going in Tuesday at 3. Awesome, Karen. If it's an appointment on your calendar, it will for sure happen. If it's not an appointment on your calendar, it is really hard to make these things happen. We are all procrastinators at some level, and it's really easy to get busy doing other things. So Margaret, Susan, Tanya, when are you going to work on this? Christine, Nancy, Angela Evans. Awesome. I also want you to know that your company, there are some default plans in there as well for you. So there is just one new listing action plan within the system. So if you go in and you go to preferences today, you should see, I believe it's going to be something that looks like this new listing action plan. That's just going to be a list of everything. So there are some default things, but if you don't put it on your calendar, it's not going to happen. I like to put things on my calendar when I'm going to sit in open house. So like if I know that I'm sitting in open house Saturday from 11 to 3, I try to schedule things to do during those open houses for a couple of reasons. One, if no one comes, I know what I have to do and that I'll have time to do it. And two, if I schedule it during an open house, for surely my open house will be busy because I scheduled something else to do during that time. Margaret's doing it Wednesday at 1. Awesome. Other questions for y'all. You are going to get a recording of this. It will be posted on our Facebook channel and our YouTube channel. Lisa, it's like the best thing ever. I do want to make sure y'all know about our Facebook channel, Facebook groups. So we actually have a Facebook group. It's called Realistic Users. You are more than welcome to join this. We work really hard to make sure that we are answering questions in video form for y'all here. We also have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is great because it's easier to search for videos. So you can actually go into the YouTube channel and you could actually search for seller tools. And it would bring up all the information about those tools. So YouTube, it will be there. Facebook, it will be there. You will get an email with the recording. I hope you all have a wonderful and very successful week. We're right at 40 minutes and we'll talk to you soon.